If you're looking for all the answers, I don't have them. But what I do have is a particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people who mislead or misinform the sports card industry. So if you don't do that, I'll let it go. That'll be all. But if you do, I will find you. And I'll probably talk about you. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Sports Card Investigator. My name is Andy and I am the Sports Card Investigator. Today I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about follow up on some stuff we did last week and some new stuff, and just to see where your mindset is, and I'll tell you where my mindset is, and just go along on what see how we flow today, right? So first, a little update. Showed you guys those 3 cards that I did that express grade on, and I put 2 of them up for sale. The other one I did not. The one I did not was the blue DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to hold on to that. I actually like that card. So I'm going to hold on to it for at least a while, or till maybe he has a monster game. But the DeAndre Hopkins Prism rookie card, I got $255 for that. Not bad, not terrible, not great. And I spent about $130 into that. And then the other one was the Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It was the insert, the NBA debut to 99. I got $155 for that. That card raw went from $99 on October 6th, and last time I looked it was down to $26. And now with Le'Veon Bell getting signed, I am hoping that that will not impact too much of his playing time, because I have a horrible feeling, and maybe it's unwarranted, that that card might be, oh, not as described, or oh, there's a scratch on the case, or oh, it's damaged. So I will keep you guys posted on that, but that is a trend that I do not like, and hopefully that will not happen to this card. But that's what happens when we deal with eBay, right? So we will see. The other interesting thing was on the last episode when we talked a little bit about fear of missing out, and then specifically I know I mentioned Tyler Hero. Guys, if you listen to some of these influencers, and one specifically that said he's a buy after that 37-point game, you got murdered. I looked today before he came down, and his raw card on that date when the guy said go buy him, he's an undeniable buy, was 80 bucks. Now it's around $35, $36, and it's probably going to go down even lower before the new season actually kicks in, and we'll talk about that. His PSA 10, I checked Card Ladder this morning, and it was at $450 at the height, and it's down to $230 bucks. And his PSA 10 silver was up around $1,500. And I checked today, and it's down, I think it was like $600 or $800, but it's over halfway down. So like I was saying, if you need Tyler Hero, get him, but just wait. There was no need to get him now, or not now. You can get him now. I think he's even going to go down lower, but just watch and monitor. But I knew he was going to be lower than he was after that 37-point game. That was ridiculous, right? So just be careful, right? Because we just don't want to make bad purchases. And if we make bad purchases, that's going to cut into our bottom line. And you know, that's a good segue into a little bit of my philosophy when it comes to sports cards and sports cards buying and selling. As always, I try to be as transparent I can with you guys. And first and foremost, when I talk about the sports card industry or the sports card, I wouldn't call it a hobby. For me, it's a business. And I mean, I actually have an LLC that I run it under, and we could talk about that later on if you want to know the ins and outs of that, because I know a lot of you guys are basically, I guess you would just say, sole proprietors, where you're on eBay and you sell it, and that's about it. But as I said, first and foremost, I'm in this game to make money. And quite simply, I use everything at my disposal to target players and their cards that I think the best chance to rise in value. I mean, you know my system, right? I buy them, and if they're gradable, I grade them, and then I sell them for more money than I have into them. And that's the name of the game, right? I think I would describe, someone asked me once, well, how would you describe your philosophy? And capitalistic, right? And I think to an extent mercenarial, not to the extent of the exact definition of mercenary, but by I'm taking part in this hobby for personal profit and monetary gain. Now, I won't do it any means necessary, because if you look at the strict definition of what a mercenary is, that's what a mercenary is. But I'm not that. But I am in it to make monetary gains. And I think most of you are too. Now, I always run into the guys that are the strict hobbyists, and there's no problem with that. Well, they'll collect cards and they can talk to you about the 1985 Mark McGuire card and what the difference is in the rookie, and he keeps something, he's looking to do full set. More power to you. More power to you. I love collecting cards with my son, and you can see behind me I have some of our cards that we have in our personal collection. Obviously, that's just, you know, for a good backdrop. But we do collect some cards. But for the most part, I'm in this to capitalize on the hobby and try to make as much money as possible. So why am I bringing that up? Well, you guys are aware I put out videos every couple weeks, and I try to provide the best information that I can. And I review videos all the time. And, you know, I just get a kick out of these videos, because it's like best cards to buy now under $25, or best investments under $100, or whatever it is. So I just want to make sure when you guys are listening to them that you're not just taking their word and buying those cards, because that's where we can get burned. And I bring this up every time because it just bothers me when I see these, and half of me is like, I don't even want to watch them anymore because it drives me crazy. But I wanted to bring that up. I mean, if you're watching these guys for pure entertainment purposes, that's fine. I mean, what are you guys in this for? Are you guys in this for to buy cards and keep them long term? Are you in for a quick flip? Do you flip raw cards? I mean, let me know. Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up on Instagram. Let me know. And I can actually gear some of my content towards you guys. If you want to know what it's like to start an LLC and what the benefits are, I'm not an attorney or an accountant, but I have one. I have an attorney. I have an accountant. And, you know, I run my stuff through them. And, you know, I get a lot of good advice. eBay is changing over. If you haven't already, they're changing from they're getting out of PayPal and they're going to their managed payments. So I don't know how that's going to affect things as far as tax reporting. I think that's always a question I get about the 20,000 declaration with the 200 transactions, things like that. So things to keep in mind as we move forward towards, you know, into the hobby and what we're doing. I just think it's interesting that why people are in it, because I read a lot too where, you know, I'm not that guy that's going to go to Walmart or Target and wait for a delivery with the other guys and stake it out and buy them. That's not me. I'm not judging anyone who does that, but that's not me. I'd rather, you know, if I buy a hobby box, I mean, you can see behind me, I like buying hobby boxes. Sometimes I'll resell hobby boxes. I'll keep them for, you know, a few years, can sell them. Sometimes I'll wait for my kid to go home on Christmas and we'll rip them. It's just something. Everybody has to analyze what their financial means are. If you can afford and buy a hobby box and rip it and then have fun and then send some cards out for grading or flip some raw cards and that doesn't matter to you as far as the money wise, then that's great. I watch guys talking about, you know, they're spending on this, they're spending on that, they're buying on this. You just got to do what's best for you. No one can tell you this is the exact plan on what to do as far as you fiscally planning to buy and sell cards. I hope that makes sense. And just hit me up in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. So with that, I'm going to do something a little bit different. How many of you guys so far have looked to the draft coming up? And how many guys have you actually targeted or think about who you're going to look at? Now, it's hard because we don't know what teams you're going to go to yet. I mean, you have your, the guys that are being talked about, but other guys that maybe aren't talked about coming in the draft. Are you starting to do your homework on them? Are you starting to watch some film? Are you starting to... No, we are not professional scouts, right? Let's talk about that. Watch their hype video. It's great. But are you starting to read the articles of those who do know what they're talking about? And those guys who do know insight. Those guys who picked Luka and Trae Young prior to the start of the draft. A couple years ago, this draft before this last one. And how they were on the money, right? Because I could tell you that not a lot of people had, Trae Young and Luka as going to hit the way they hit. And they were all, on the Bagleys and these other guys that really did not, as of yet, pan out the way that they were, projected to. So today, and as we get closer to the draft, I'll start highlighting some of these guys and just give you some insight on what I see, especially after I find out where they're going. But today I want to talk to you about something. It's about a player that I'm high on. And I tell you this guy, I'm not going to tell you ever who to buy. And at this point, this guy, his cards, there's some of them are still out there. But they're basically probably at this point pretty much cherry-picked, the ones for grading. Because it was last draft class. But I expect that he has a good chance to make a jump from his freshman year, we'll call it the NBA, to his sophomore year. And I just want to let you know what I'm thinking about him. All right? I know you're saying, like, well, who is he? Who is he? I'll get to, I promise. It was funny because I was watching one of these guys and he was going through his cards and he mentions this guy. I'm like, oh, okay, get some insight. And his insight was he plays with this guy and he's good at defense. I mean, that's the hard-hitting evaluation that we're going to get. And I don't like the read-off stats because if you look at this too, some guys will say, here are guys I look at, and they'll go and they'll actually pull up the basketball reference and they'll say, oh, he made, this point, this. That's all fine and dandy, but that's not going to really tell us what we can expect going from one year to the next. And that's what we have to look at because a lot of these guys now in their freshman year, and there's a lot of them, they're not going to be around as far as a profitable margin for cards next year. So if we're sitting on them, whoever they may be, probably a losing proposition. So now we had to, during the season, try to project what players are going to make that jump. Who is going to be next year's Trae Young? Who's going to be next year's Luka, right? Is Zion going to continue his upward trajectory? Is Ja Morant? Is Cam Reddish? Is RJ Barrett? Are these guys going to make this trend to continue to be better? And there's other guys too. PJ Washington, Rui Hachimura. There's a lot. Tyler Hero, right? So we have to look at them and see what trajectory they are on. And with that, we have to look at every aspect. The team makeup, the team changes. Who's going to be joining that team? Are there any free agents coming in? Are there any free agents going from that team? The makeup. So things like that. So anyway, I'm going to tell you why I like this guy, but don't worry, I'm going to be backing it up with important factors such as level of swag, the shininess of the card, and of course we're going to have to watch his hype videos because we'll have to grade the videos on the hypeness, right? Because he's going into his second year, we're going to be able to capitalize and buy his second year cards dirt cheap. I'm kidding. That was a joke. Oh, I know you guys knew I was kidding, right? Again, not a recommendation for you to buy this guy. It's my process how I look and evaluate a player, and I look at everything at my disposal, and I go to guys that are professionals that I look to tell me what I can expect on this guy going into his next year. All right, so without further ado, drum roll, please. The guy I'm looking at is none other than Brandon Clarke. Now, how many of you guys out there are Brandon Clarke guys? I know there's a bunch out there because when I'm looking on Discord sometimes, I'm looking at some of the live chat, the name comes up. And I like Brandon Clarke. I like Brandon Clarke a lot. And I think the sky is the limit for this guy. Full transparency, he's been one of my guys that I've invested in over the past year. There's no doubt about that. And again, I'm not telling you to buy him. It's just one of the guys that I like. And I bought a lot of them. I did. I'm not buying them anymore because it's kind of, the ship has sailed. Especially, you know, one other thing I'll bring up too is I kind of look at cards and, you know, it could be Optic or Prism or even Chronicles or Select or whatever it is. And like one of the cards I do like was Select. And then one of the major influencers that's got like 47, I don't know, some crazy amount, 47,000. He comes out and he says, I'm buying Select. Well, I'm not buying Select anymore because basically I am now priced out because now 47,000, even 10% of those people are going to go now buy Select no matter what the player is. And now I got to wait till it dies down because now I got all these guys running to buy Select. All right, so Brandon Clarke. Why am I looking at Brandon Clarke? Well, there's several reasons, and some of the stuff I'm going to tell you I took off of articles I've read from scouts, from local newspapers, from different articles written about him, as well as my own observations. But first and foremost, he is arguably on the best young core of players in the league. Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Dillon Brooks. Now, Jaren Jackson Jr. is hurt, we know, but hopefully he'll be back. And I actually talked to Chris at Sports Card PT to see what his evaluation was of Jaren Jackson, because let's be honest, Brandon Clarke's success, because they work very well together, Jaren Jackson and Brandon Clarke, could very well rely on the health of Jaren Jackson. And from all indications, it looks like Jaren Jackson is going to be just fine. Now, to go back a little bit, remember, Brandon Clarke was the 21st pick in the draft, right? And he was a lot higher on most draft boards. So it's interesting to see how he even got to the Grizzlies with the Mike Conley trade. So for the 21st draft pick, he has definitely outperformed his draft position. And again, I hate to read off stats, but it's important to see his productivity because that goes a long way on why I like this guy. So his first year, looking at his statistics, you wouldn't think he's anything special, right? He's averaging 12.6 rebounds and about a block a game. However, when you realize that he's only played 22 minutes per game, that translate into a usually successful season. And he's developed good chemistry with Ja Morant, and that's over a season. That's not like over a few games. You could see the chemistry that he develops with Ja is very, very crucial to the success of his game. The pick and roll in the NBA game is so important, and he has developed that beautifully with Ja, and he is also a very, very good finisher. He is shooting 74%. Let me say that again. He is shooting 74% right around the rim, which puts him in the top 10. In the league, not just, you know, in rookies, the league leader, you know, top 10 within the league leaders, where you have, you know, everyone in the league. He's right up there. Field goal percentage, 74%. So when he's playing out there and his opponents are basically making him get away from the basket, then if you notice with certain players, they have certain go-to moves. And you notice Brandon Clarke's got that floater. It's a great shot. He's developed it over the years. And he's got that great touch shot, right? He's shooting 58% outside the restricted area. Minimum 100 attempts, and he is second in the league behind Nikolai Jokic. I'll say that wrong. But he's second, 57.6%, right? So that's pretty good for a first-year player. And you would think he's only going to get better. Now, can he shoot the three? He needs work on his three, let's be honest. He's not horrible. He's making 37% of his threes, but he's only shooting one attempt per game. So that's something he can look at a little bit. But the only other rookies to frequently appear among the top performers across the board are his teammate Ja Morant and Zion Williamson. And they were the top 2 picks in the draft. I mean, Morant was Rookie of the Year. Zion finished second. However, if you look at Brandon Clarke's statistics compared to even Zion, not comparing the two as far as popularity or even how I think they're going to be, because, there's so much hype factor around Zion. But if you look at his playing time, the games played, Brandon Clarke had a stronger case than Zion for Rookie of the Year for the runner-up position. And I'm not making this up. This is statistically factual. And the significance of Clarke's rookie season goes way beyond just this rookie year for Clarke. And this is an amazing thing. It's historical. Because Clarke is the first rookie since 1953-54 season to produce 5 or more win shares in 1,300 minutes or less of playing time. He also became the first rookie in NBA history to have an effective field goal percentage. Look these terms up. Effective field goal percentage, true shooting percentage. But he had an effective field goal percentage, and true shooting percentage, each of 60% or higher, with a minimum of 475 field goal attempts. It's a historical season for this kid. Bottom line, I like his season going forward. He's coming off the bench, which is a deterrent to some people. I think if he continues to grow and continue, they're going to have to get him more involved. He's on the court at crunch time. I think that as he progresses with the team, his role as far as minutes will definitely increase. This year is going to be very interesting. Is he going to continue to be the 6th man? Is that what he's going to be for his career? Like a super 6th man? It's possible. We're going to have to definitely monitor, as I spoke about before, Triple J's injury. Hopefully he'll recover. Talk to Chris. I'll keep in contact with Chris about that. And we also have to do one other thing. We have to keep close tabs on what the Grizzlies do in their off season, because they do not have much money to spend. None at all. And I've been reading rumors that they're I don't think this is going to happen, but I read rumors that they actually might consider trading away Jaren Jackson Jr. Maybe clear space for a Bradley Beal. I don't see it, but I do think that one of the things they're going to look at is to bring in a veteran to help solidify that rookie base, which I think is a good idea. So we'll see. But that's some of the stuff that I look at when I look at a player going from a first year to a second year. Because you guys know that I specialize, or what I do is I buy first year players, and then I look at them and how I think they're going to progress throughout their career. That's who I look at. So with that, kind of a shorter episode. Wanted to get this in there. Wanted you guys to get a feel for it. I'm going to start looking at the new draft class coming up. Some of their cards are already starting to pop up. They just had the first off the line, the contenders for this new 2020 draft pick. Interestingly enough, it was a Dutch auction on Panini, and I think it started off at, I want to say, I don't even know, maybe 500, 600, I don't know. But it dropped all the way down to 237. Now, in talking to my friend Jordan at Sports Card Analytics, we were talking about what we thought that would drop to. And we were saying that, and actually Jordan brought last year that was a $150 box, and now it's $237. It's not crazy, but it's still a little bit more expensive than years past. And I think we're seeing that in all of our boxes, our hobby boxes for this year. We'll see how it continues on for basketball as we move forward into those other cards. Going forward, the optics, the prisms, the select. We'll see how that goes. So, with that, haven't forgot about Dame Lillard. I'm going to give it away. I promise. Just haven't figured it out yet. But when I do, you guys will be the first to know. If you enjoy the content, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Like doing this for you guys. So until then, take care.